and welcome to a really quick video here at the Dapper Danielle YouTube channel. So I actually just got some mail in here recently, and it's something that I think y'all might find amusing. And no, it is not the latest and greatest Disney item from a Disney park. It's actually probably from your grandma's house. And there's some great Florida history and some other great like Disney history and stuff that was happening in the 60s and 70s that I think are pretty cool. So I decided to go ahead and make this a longer video for over here on the YouTubes. But let me show you what I got. Isn't this gorgeous? This actually is in pretty good condition considering. You are a little dusty though. Hold on. Oh, let's wipe off a little bit off the back too. Wow, let's throw that away. Anyway, now that's done. This is a plate I purchased off of eBay. And like I said, it was probably from someone's grandma's house based off the dust of where it was laying. You could even see where on the very back, this is where the original sticker would have been. The Disney stickers for Disney merchandise in the 70s were about that size. And it was probably right there. Besides that, this is actually in pretty good condition. I'm very happy with this. It doesn't have any major rust spots on it. Only a couple of dings where the top coat has come off. Other than that, this looks really, really good. I know you're wondering, Danielle, why are you so excited about a random plate from Walt Disney World? Well, a couple of things. And the reasoning why was because this in itself represents a lot of merchandise and some really great pieces of merchandise from the late 50s, 60s, 70s, and very early 80s. This is a tin plate. And there are a couple different versions of this that were manufactured for Walt Disney World, different colors, some different designs varying. This one, though, we can assume was made for 1971 to 1973. And I'll get into my reasoning of why that is here in just a moment, because the plate actually gives us some hints why it was so 50s, 60s, 70s coated. Tin was really popular. The reasoning why for this was because tin was super cheap at the time. It's also very lightweight, so you can manufacture these for the cheapness. You could ship them very easily because they were so lightweight, and you could stack these to get them to their point of destination to be sold at a very reasonable price. And you could fit a lot of them into one box. These are also super durable. They lasted a long time. As long as the top coating right here didn't get damaged or a lot of metal was showing, this would not rust. That's where if the top coating was damaged and rust got to it, that's where you see a lot of the discoloration and damage come from other plates that you'll see on eBay and stuff. But this one honestly was in really, really good condition, but that's why these stuck around for so long. Something else that's really great about this plate in particular, and some other plates just like it, were actually very smart merchandise items for your trip to Walt Disney World in the very early 70s, because this plate represented all of Florida, not just Walt Disney World, because you have to picture in 1971 when Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World first opened, it was only Magic Kingdom and only Polynesian Contemporary Resort and Fort Wilderness Campground. That's it. So more than likely, when you came down for your Florida trip, you were going to any of these other cities and spending a week or so in the state of Florida and maybe just a day or two at Disney World. So to entice you to buy something that not only was a Walt Disney World exclusive, it was also something that commemorated probably one of the other places you went to on your trip. There is a sibling to this plate for the California version. It does have a totally different design on it. Different characters are referenced. But the same coloration still matches with the black and the yellow. That is something I probably will get eventually, is try to hunt down the California version. But this goes perfectly in my Orangeburg and Florida themed kitchen. Very first thing I want to point out are the characters that they chose to pick on the plate. So we have King Louie, we have Donald Duck, we have Tick-Tock Croc, Pooh Bear, two of Donald's nephews, Goofy and Mickey Mouse are over here too. It's very smart to pick the characters that they picked because Pooh Bear and King Louie, of course, represent movies that were made and released in the late 60s and 66 and 67. So of course, they're still trying to promote those movies in the very early 70s. So that's why they're referenced on this plate. And they kind of match the whole jungle theme. But You gotta admit, Pooh Bear looks so cute over here building a sand castle too. He looks adorable. And I love that there's not really an alligator character created yet. We wouldn't really see alligators until Madame Medusa and the Rescuers. And that's still for a couple years after this piece. Would have been 1977. So still have a couple years. So we don't have alligators. We got a croc right there, which at the time, I don't think we had crocodiles that close into the Keys. But now we do have crocodiles right over here in the Tampa lower region, hanging out in the Everglades. So this is actually very on brand and ahead of its time. So like I said, Disney, of course, them being the shining star there in the very center, or what they're portraying in this, wanted to highlight a couple of other locations that you probably went to while you were in Florida. And so they highlighted some of the OGs, some of the older park, well, before theme parks were really a thing, some other park locations that were very popular with Florida tourism. The first one being right here in the very center, they have the Cypress Gardens, Winter Haven, the Singing Tower, which is Bach Tower, or dates back all the way to the 1920s, about 1929. So this is an OG location in Florida tourism in the 20s and 30s. We also have reference to Daytona Beach, and the Speedway is there, and the car is very late 60s, very 70s coded over here in the car. Another one I want to mention is over here, just actually near Daytona Beach, and this is going to be Marineland, and they have the picture of the dolphin and the beach ball right there. Marineland has been around for quite some time as well, in the 1930s, and they kind of go into the same OG category as the Cypress Garden area. And now, mind you, theme parks are still new to Florida. These are just highlighted tourist destinations because if you look at this plate, you're going to see that Busch Gardens is on here, which, yes, nowadays it is considered a roller coaster location. They have some of the biggest roller coasters in Florida. But at the time, they opened up in the late 50s, about 1959, I believe, and were simply a garden area. They truly were Busch Gardens. And the roller coaster aspect didn't come in until after Magic Kingdom. And like the real theme park aesthetic didn't come to Busch Gardens until the late 70s when Disney started to make that idea popular and they had to expand to compete with Disney. Now, I said I would mention to you how I know this is between 1971 to 1973. Well, the first clue is that obviously, it was a Walt Disney World exclusive piece, so 71, when Magic Kingdom opened. But how I know it was before 1973 is because of Cape Canaveral. On the plate, it's not called Cape Canaveral. It's called Cape Kennedy. A little bit of Florida history for you. Cape Canaveral was known as Cape Canaveral for the longest time until 1963 when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. The president afterwards, to honor JFK, went ahead and renamed Cape Canaveral to Cape Kennedy. It stuck that way for about 10 years, and then the Florida government decided, we kind of wanted to go back to Cape Canaveral. So the local government voted for their city to be renamed back to Cape Canaveral and not Cape Kennedy. So anything with Cape Kennedy we know is from that 10-year time frame. We still have Kennedy Space Center over there. Cape Canaveral itself, that whole area, has been renamed in the city itself. Kind of cool. I love stuff like this. I think it's so great to have like states represented, major history milestones, be able to look at things like a renaming of a city, to be able to pinpoint where in time and what was happening during the time that this plate was made. I think that is so cool. Anyway, I can't wait I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put this in my decor because I do want to highlight this because I think this is such a cool piece. So let me know what you think. Thanks for popping in and watching the video. And until next time, night-night, sleep tight, dream of churros tonight.